Hi, Kathy here from Kathyskutekreations. Today we are going to put together the little mini tree, which I will link below where you can find the pattern. It's for free, but now I have tweaked the pattern. I went ahead and I made one today so I could try to figure it out. I did my measurements wrong, but I went ahead and I finished it anyway, so I'll show you how it ended up coming out. And then I've cut out pieces for the next one, and hopefully that one will work. Otherwise, we're going to rig it and get it to work. But let me show you this one first. Here we go. Hopefully you can see the whole thing. And if you look at it closely, it has a seam down the middle. Okay? Because I measured the tree strips wrong. So I've remeasured them. Hopefully I got them right this time around. And let's get started. We'll go over here on the other side and I'll give you the measurements that I've figured out. Hopefully they work. We'll try it out and we'll see. Here's the pattern that I'm using. The way that I got this was I went to Pat Salone's website. Through her website, it sends you over to the Fat Quarter shop because this is a free pattern that they're offering. And I went ahead and downloaded both of them. This is the one that makes the 2.5-inch squares. That's what you use, and it shows you the finished size if you follow the directions to make this exact one. Now, I'm not making that exact one. That's not what I want to make. So that's why I did it my way. And now the first thing I did was I took, it shows you the directions and everything, and I took this right here, and I made this strip, and it's the solid color, 5 inches. Alrighty. Normally, you would take a 2.5, two 2.5s, put them back to back, and mark the back side, which I'll show you here when we get ready to do it. And then you would sew to create these two pieces to begin with. And you'd put them together. But I don't want to do that because I don't want this seam down the middle here. There'll be a seam on the left and a seam on the right. And you'll see it here when we get done. Now I did go ahead and I cut out based on this size here. In other words, look on this side here of the paper. And it shows you're going to need 2.5. That's our width of our fabric. Excuse me, the length. It's the height of the fabric. The height. Okay. By 5.5 for the rectangle. And then what I did was when I did this 5-inch, all I did was increased 2 inches. So this strip will be a 7-inch. This one will be a 9. The next one will be 11. The next one will be 13, 15, and then this one here is a 2.5-inch and the B's on each side. Now they made theirs with white for the background. I'm making mine with blue just like before, and I'm going to show you how I have it right here on my table here. Let me put it down here. All I did was kind of lay it in a row. I'm going to do a row at a time. Okay, and that's what I did. Now the only thing I don't have cut out yet, and I'm going to wait until the tail end, is I don't have the bottom. I'm going to have a bottom plain strip like I did in the sample that I showed you. A plain blue one at the top, and then on the left and the right side. All right, so let's get started. Here's what I've got first. I got my 2.5-inch square. Because if you look at the pattern, and we'll go back and forth between the patterns so you know what I'm talking about and I don't get you all confused. So when you look at this pattern piece here, you're going to have a 2.5-inch square on each side, right? So I cut 2 of them out. But instead of us having a 2.5-inch square, and I'm just going to give you an example with this one. Instead of having a 2.5 like this and put them together and then sew it across, flip it, and cut it so that it looks like that, what we're going to do on this one specifically, we're going to do this. We're going to put it on this side, and then we're going to mark it diagonally this direction. So let me go ahead and get my ruler and my marking pen. And I'm not going to do it on top of the fabric. I'm going to do it I'm on the back side of my fabric now. You can use a pencil, whatever you want. This part, since I'm using dark fabric, it's not even going to show. And you're going to do both pieces. And that's what I'm doing first. And this is sort of like the flying geese, only on the very first one now. So we're going to put it like that, because when we get done sewing it, we want to be able to flip it like this, so that our tree peaks like this. Okay, so it's one solid fabric here instead of a piece here and a piece here that we're going to sew together. So let's go ahead and sew this and then this, and we'll cut off our excess. Now keep in mind, even though I'm going to give you the link to get this pattern, this is not the way it's going to end up being, because this is what I'm making up based on the fabric. So remember, each one of our strips, each one of these main strips, I added 2 inches to it. The very first one starts with 5. So you'll have 5, 7, 9, 11, and 15. All right, so we're going to go from corner to corner. Now, normally you would probably use a dark color thread, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use white. Hopefully I don't get too jammed up underneath here. Oh, let me see here. Okay. And you're just going to take your time. A little off on my corner there, but here we go. Okay, we'll cut this off. And let me make sure that I don't have to cut this before I can sew it. Hold on one second. And let's see if I can get it on there. And I don't want to start at the corner. Alrighty, so I can actually hold this up and away from it because it's not overlapping like flying geese do. Okay, so I don't have to cut this corner yet. But I'm going to start in this corner so that my fabric doesn't go down into that little hole in my machine, and hopefully it won't bunch up on itself, which I've had a issue with it here. Okay, there we go. And make sure that you mark on the wrong side and you put your right sides together. Okay, we'll cut this. I'm going to lay this over the table and I'm going to cut each end off. Now all I'm doing is leaving a 1/4 inch on, so I put it up against the line here with my little ruler. I'm taking off the excess. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to iron it open so I can attach the next one, just like this. So that'll be the middle part of your tree. Here we go. Now it tells us on this pattern which way to be ironing. So it says to iron it to the right. So our next strip is going to be ironed to the left. First, we're going to put each end on. Now the first set, it says C, which is right here in the directions, C. And when you look on the left side, it tells you that C, right here, is 5.5 inches. So the strip is 2.5, and so I've cut it 5.5. I went ahead and I labeled it and everything that I needed 2 of them, just to keep myself straight. And then all I'm going to do is attach them. And there's really not too much to this. This is pretty easy. Just put it like that. Do your 1/4 inch. Either do scant or 1/4 inch, whatever you want to do. Let's put that together. Now, you really shouldn't need any pins if you're watching it and you're being real careful. And don't worry if the size is off a hair bit. That's fine. I was having a wacky day when I was cutting all this out. So, it doesn't need to be perfect. And I saw that somebody that watched my video that I gave to my swap partner made a comment about the decorations. So I'm giving it a lot of thought about going ahead and if I can convince Megan to join me, do a live, and maybe we can make a couple of ornaments for you guys live while we talk. Now when we go to open this up and iron it, remember it's got to go the same direction. So it's going that direction, which you can see right here. So we're going to iron this to the left and this to the left. Let's do that and we'll have this strip finished and we'll be moving on to the next one. So we're going to repeat the process. We have our next strip and I'm starting up here at the top. So it's not really on a corner. Go down to the other end. Attach this one here. I kind of wish while I was making that other one and it had all those darn mistakes in it that I would have shown you how we could fix those. So you could have seen it before I cut it. But hey, we'll just catch it another time. Maybe this one will have mistakes in it and we'll go from there. Now I'm going to trim the ends on this and iron it open. Alrighty, so this is D and this is 4.5 inches. And we're going to put them on each end here. And then we'll iron that open. So Megan's trying to get me to take that one I did first and give it to her.
Of course.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to have one for myself because I thought about giving that to my sister. And now the grandkid wants it. Lordy, lordy.
You're going to sew it just for me.
Well, you can sew it yourself. I saw you in there doing some free motion quilting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's flip this over and do the other side.
I'm too uncoordinated.
No, you're not.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Shouldn't have to pin any of this. This is pretty easy.
Shouldn't being the key word, right?
And I'm just using the 2.5 inch stitch. All right, let me get it ironed open. All right, so now we're going to be doing our 9-inch strip. And I always have to move this piece of thread because if I don't, by being it down in that machine, it will jam my fabric down automatically.
Really?
That's why I always constantly have to move it. Yep.
I move it so that I don't get limped. Is that your machine?
I'm not sure. I think that was Leo talking underneath the table.
Yep, he's moving.
He's talking.
Now he's by the fabric, but...
Okay, let's go with the edge here. Let me get this cut and ironed. Alrighty, so this size here that goes on each corner is the letter E, and it's 3.5 inches. And if you want to make this a little bit bigger, you know, you just need to add to each corner. And right now they're coming out at 15 inches. That's the strips, the size of the strips.
It's recording.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's recording. I was double checking.
Now, if you were making this like my runner where I put it on each side, I would just go ahead and chain stitch this because you could have them all lined up and chain stitch them. But I'm just trying to make sure it all comes out correctly since I've changed this pattern. Which I could do too like this, but I don't want to have 2 mistakes if it's wrong. Now for this one, we're going to have each corner, which is, these are the ones that get marked on, but we're also going to have our right and left, which is only 2.5 inches. They're getting smaller, the right-hand sides that we add to. Keep that in mind when you're doing this. They're not all staying the same size now. I wish I had more of this blue fabric, but I don't. I really like the background on this.
Gonna buy more of that fabric?
I don't even know where I got that fabric from, to be truthful with you. That's the problem when I buy fabric.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if I got it online or if I bought it at the quilt shop.
Well, I asked because, you know, my birthday's coming up here in a few months. You can make me something out of it, if you find it.
Your birthday's not coming that quick. All right, let's get this iron and cut. Now we're going to go ahead and do our straight stitch and put our corners on. That's what I'm calling them, the ends.
Girl.
Only because these are 2.5 inch squares. The next one is a 1.5 inch, I believe, by 2.5. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next one, which is 13 inches long. And then our little ends are 1.5 inch, and that's it. Megan, and I didn't record the other corner, but I'm getting this corner done on our 11-inch strip. Okay, let me get this one taken care of for cutting and ironing. Alrighty, now our 1.5 inch little pieces here. Let's do the other side. I won't even need to cut this yet, I don't think. I could probably just get it up there. There we go. Because that strip is so long. Now here is the strip. It's the last strip before the trunk. So this one is 15 inches and the corners are 2.5. Now that is all we have. We don't have anything else to go on the corners. This is it, man. Once we put these and create half square triangles, we are done with this strip. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this. And then we'll just put it on each corner. All right. And that's all there's to that. Doesn't take long at all to do. Let's get these cut. Now all we have left on the strips of the building of the strips, now not the plain strips themselves, the background strips, but this is 2.5 by B, which is, I don't remember what B is. B is 6.5 inch. So we have a 6.5 inch, a 2.5 inch, and a 6.5 inch. So let's go ahead and put that together. And then this one will be ironed to the right. So here's where I said that we were going to fix any kind of mistakes. Here is the very first mistake. The reason being, and I thought this when I was telling you the size, I was thinking that doesn't measure to 15 inches. So I laid it down, and I've got the measurements on my board here, and it is 14 3/4. So here's what I can do. One of two things. I can take each one of these off and make it a 1/4 inch bigger. And I've already forgotten the size because I didn't write it down, but hold on a second here. I think I said 6.5, didn't I? What did I say? Yeah. So I can make it 6 3/4 each one of these sides and attach it to my 2.5 inch. Or I can take these and sew them, instead of a 1/4 inch, a 1/16 of an inch. So it's going to be your preference. But when I put my piece beforehand, these two are going to go together, and I lay it down there, you can see where it's off just a little bit. Let me bring you closer over here, and you can see where it's off. So that's how much I need. Let me think. Okay, let's see. Go ahead and, I'm trying to think, do I want to just make it a smaller seam? I think I'm going to make it a smaller seam. Let me try that first before I cut more fabric. Now it will fit. I went ahead and I just decreased my stitch. This isn't a blanket. This is strictly a wall hanging, so I doubt that I'm going to be washing it. I'm not going to put any pressure on it, so I think it's going to work just fine. Now we're going to take our strips and we're going to sew them all together. So what I've done here is I went ahead and I connected 3 sets of the rows together. So I have 3 that I can chain stitch. So that's what I'm going to do first. And I started at the bottom. So my top row isn't connected to anything at this point. And I pinned it everywhere I felt was necessary, just to keep it from flipping. And if you want to take, if you decide when you do this, well, in your case, you won't have this mistake where I didn't have enough fabric here for the trunk. But if you did, if you've ever done that, you can either do the outer edge or the inner edge. It didn't make any difference. It didn't have to be one, just specific one. It could be one or the other. This would be a cute little thing to put all your little embellishments on. And if you notice, I did not mark any of my tips or anything when I made this. Now I will cut them all apart and I'll take a look at them and see what they look like. Well, I had it in sections, and there was 3 of them. I went ahead and I ironed them, so I ended up with 3 sections. I took the first 2 and I attached it to the top row, and then I took the last 2 sections right here and put them together after I ironed them. It seemed to be a lot easier to iron them now than afterwards. On the last one, I waited till I was totally finished and ironed them, and it was difficult to get it to work. Here it worked a lot better. So let me go ahead and we're going to chain stitch these 2. Then we'll put them together and finish it off. And then we're going to cut the complete 4 strips because it needs a strip on the bottom, the top, and each side in order for it to come out like the last one. Get the other 2 sides ironed and pinned, and then we'll cut out our fabric. Here is the top 3 rows with the bottom 4 rows attached. Let me iron it open so we can take a look at it. Now, this is the way that I'm going to trim it. I do not know if this is correct or anybody else does it like this, but this is what I do. So, I'll try to put my ruler on the corner up here and the corner down here, and then I cut off anything excess that way. So let me lay it down like that first. And see what I got. Okay, so I have a little bit of an excess. And then because it wants to move, alright, just put that weight on it. And then while I'm doing it this way, let me show you what else I'm doing. So you got a pretty good idea. Go up to that corner. Okay. In this corner, so I'm trying not to get the glare of that light. I'm trying to line it up down here as well as take it from corner to corner over there and just take off the little bit that's on here. I can see it. I don't know if you can see it. Like this little piece right here. Here's some right there. But this is the way that I do it. Like that. And it's just this little bit right here. Okay. I'm just trying to get my edge straight is all I'm trying to do. I'm going to flip it over. Do the same thing here. Let me see if I can get I'm trying to get the whole thing. There we go on the camera. Alright, so I'm going to that end over there. This end over here. I mean, it's okay to be a little bit short on some of it, but all the other stuff I want off of it. There we go. And now, when it comes to the side, now notice, there's nothing, I didn't have to pay attention about any kind of tips or anything. on that top or that bottom part. But here is where you want to watch your tip down on your tree right here. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is take my 1/4 inch on my ruler, so I don't take it off, put it on this corner, just like I did before, keeping in mind of that 1/4 inch, and then up at the top corner, and then take all the excess off. Okay, I'm trying to get it as straight as I can before I put that binding on. And now I got to worry about it up at the top. Okay, it just told me I had a low battery, so I need to stop a minute and go over there and get my plug in and plug it in. So you can see the part that's the, I'm going to bring this closer to me so I can see it, because I want it to be a 1/4 inch from that corner and it looks like I'm off a hair on here, but if I come corner to corner, let's do that first, I guess. I'm going to square it up at the top, square it at the bottom, and I'm got a little bit, oh, let me go to the right a little bit, to the left. Okay. There we go. And take all of this off. And now I'm a bit happy with it. I don't know if I could probably take a little bit. No, I guess that's good. So there we have it. Now all I got to do is put strips on the side and the top. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my strips on the top and the bottom first. So let me cut those out. I went ahead and I pinned the top and the bottom. I cut the strips 15 inches. We already know that the top and the bottom are 15 inches. We've already figured that out. We'll have to figure out the sides when we get finished. So let's just go ahead and we'll put this on. I've gone ahead and I've pinned both tops and bottom. And if you don't want 2.5 inches, I just stayed right with the theme of the size. This is where you could make it bigger if you want your border bigger. Or if you want to change this part right here, you could go ahead and put a star at the tip of this, because you know I'm cutting some of the tip of this Christmas tree off. But normally your tree top wouldn't be straight up unless you don't put a topping on it. Normally you would put a topping on it and it would be a star or an angel or lights or something like that. But if you want to frame it, you can make this strip bigger. Also, you can add to this strip, just like it was a quilt where you were adding another strip. You can do that also. Don't think that you got to stop with it. I'm just going to take a look at it when I'm finished. I'm not sure if I'm going to add to it or not. If I wanted to have a frame effect, I would either add a strip that is either black or white, which would outline that and make it look like it's sort of a picture frame. Or you could create a window effect also. I need to do a panel like that where it looks like you're looking out the window. I think that would really look neat. I haven't made one of them yet. The backside of that brown looks pretty nice. That coloring. I could have used that for the bottom of my tree and just flipped my fabric over. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to iron this open before I do the measurement on the side pieces. I went over there to measure it and found out that I had sewn one of the wrong sides to the right side instead of the right sides together. So I had to take it out and redo it. Now I've got to re-iron it, make sure I did it right. Yep, I did. Everything's finished. It's all put together. It's 18.5 by 18.5. That's the overall square size. And I've got a little red felt. We're debating on which one to put in there. Okay, it won't be that one. We'll put this one here, and then I'll put that one. I'll flip it upside down. I'll put in the other one. Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up.
A like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. She's busting out laughing. So, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.